Greetings. Today's topic is negotiation. Negotiation as a tool. What does that mean? I would like to begin with a quote that will set the frame for the argument I'll present, which is I read it off Luis's account, Luis being a longtime friend and my co-host in the Anime Law. The quote is, "In life, you don't get what you deserve. You get what you negotiate." And that's very important because people forget a lot what this means, right? What does negotiation mean? How can it be used as a tool? Often in history and in regular life, negotiation is something you do when you lose, right? If you're losing a war, you start negotiating your terms of surrender. If you are some poor person or somebody from a lower social status who wants to climb up the world, you need to negotiate with the higher ups to see how you can advantageous them, right? It comes from a lower standpoint to a higher standpoint. But what I argue is, it's often forgotten that negotiation is a very powerful tool to be used from the winning side as well as the losing side. What does that mean? I want to use the example of World War One, when the Germans final offensive failed, and now they had to negotiate terms. The U.S. controlled the negotiation, and France, Britain, and all of these nations were all about punishing them for the war, right? Having them pay huge amounts of money, overthrowing the Kaiser, and all the great things that you do as a winning side, right? And the U.S. was like, no, let's chill and give them a less than optimal, a less harsh peace deal. But it was still very harsh, right? So France had or Germany rather had to pay France a lot of money, pay Britain a lot of money. They destroyed their economy, and blah 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 blah. But that animosity from that what they considered to be an unfair peace deal led to eventually the Second World War, right? That's what Hitler used to rouse up the people. Similarly, the Second Punic War, with Rome and Carthage, which is known as antiquity's First World War, right, or Second World War, because it was for the Mediterranean. It was kind of that, and Rome won the First Punic War, but the terms were harsh for the Second Punic War, and Carthage never forgot, to the point where negotiation came. They forgot negotiation, both sides, and they were like, let's go at it again, Second Punic War, which led to Carthage being reduced into a city-state, and eventually in the Third Punic War, where Carthage was wiped from existence, right? Why did this happen? Poor negotiation, I argue. The winning side should negotiate better to the losing side in such a way that no animosity is generated afterwards. Here, you lost, that's true. I defended my land, and you lost. Now we need to figure out how to deal with this. Especially in the First World War, now that I think about it, because it was the war itself, all of it's an accident, right? Everything just like dominoes happened, and by the time the war started, nobody knew what was happening. So maybe in nations it's not as powerful, but between people, oh man, it's a powerful tool. Dude, if you lose an argument, or you're winning an argument, and the person against you is losing, you know what they do usually? They argue more until the topic changes, right? What I do, at least with my I negotiate with my arguments. What does that mean? I try to make the person right within my own logic and present their argument to them to see whether they agree or not. Maybe that wasn't their original point, but I've altered it in such a way that it supports their argument if those axioms are respected. And what I usually get is, yeah, right? Yeah, that's what I meant. Even though I didn't say that, that's what I meant. Why is that important? It's important because the person gets out of it without any animosity in them. That's one way to negotiate, i.e., negotiate who is right. You weren't wrong, but you weren't right, and now we fixed it, and everything's clear. That was the argument, and nobody's wrong and nobody's right, or rather, like you turned out right in the end. Nobody was wrong. That's good enough, right? It should be. In the end, that's the only constructive result. Reaching a right answer doesn't matter who gets it. Another way to do it is, let's say you're a professor. Why don't professors negotiate with their classmates? Some do, and I respect them for it, but a lot of doctors, because they have the authority, that's what they pull out when they're in trouble. I'm the doctor, I do this. I have the PhD, I studied 12 years in the field, so of course I'm gonna be the right one in this argument. Which in my case is like, what? No, you have to negotiate. Just because you're on the top doesn't mean it gives you the right to put me down. If anything, all you're creating is animosity for me to actually do something about it, right? So yeah, it's just a random use I just had. I thought I'd talk about, which is negotiation is a tool used by the victor way better than it should be used by the loser. And if the victor uses it efficiently and justly, I think the world will be way less angsty than it is at the moment. So, benefit to all is always better than the benefit of one. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on the issue, and I'll see you in the next one.